Hello, Synthwavers. Alonzo here. Welcome to episode number 13 of the Let's Make Synthwave show. Today, we're going to be making music in the style and inspired by the awesome mid-80s TV show Blue Thunder. And Blue Thunder, if you don't remember, was a show similar to Airwolf, which was some guys flying a helicopter around and chasing bad guys and saving the day, which was awesome. Give me a second here. All right. Today's live stream will have a duration of 2 hours, as it usually does. During the first hour, I'm going to be creating the musical ideas that then we'll use during the second hour to create a short piece of like a minute or a minute and a half. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. Before we start, if you haven't done so already, visit synthwavedojo.com and register for a free account. You'll find there all my videos, better organized, better searchable, and most important of all, without ads. Alrighty, so without further ado, let's go into the DAW. Cool. So the Blue Thunder theme, Blue Thunder, the show, started airing in 1984. So it has a lot of subtractive synthesis goodness, as well as some DX7 or FM synthesis textures in there. And the overall theme, I'm not gonna recreate the theme. You know that I like to take inspiration from things, but not necessarily recreate it. I'm sure that online on YouTube you can find how to recreate like the Knight Rider theme, the Airwolf theme, the Street Hawk, and I'm gonna get to those at some time. But I'm not so interested in doing the exact same thing, but just getting inspiration from that, picking maybe 2 or 3 or 4 things that I like, and then make my own thing within the general ballpark and context of that original piece, right? Take what I like and make it my own. Awesome. So with that in mind, a couple of things that I had ready for today, or that I wanted to do, was first off, the tempo is 140 BPM, so it's very fast paced. Typically for me, synthwave is between, I would say, 90 to 120 BPM. Above 130, 140, that's more like outrun territory, and it's very fast paced, high octane, and this is that kind of sound. And another thing that's very interesting is that the key of this piece, it shifts, right? But very interestingly, there is this main chord progression where the progression goes from A Dorian to A Aeolian. Actually, it's a different mode, but I'm just translating this to A Dorian and A Aeolian, since those modes are very easy. So, for example, this is the chord progression that's used in let's say, one of the main parts. And it goes from A minor, C major, and D major. So this part is in A Dorian, but the second half of the progression, A minor, F G, this part is from A Aeolian, or the natural A minor scalar key that we all know and love. And this part, A Dorian, comes from the G major scale. So we're combining 2 modes or 2 scales in the same progression, and it's very cool. And it sounds very well because both halves of the progression are rooted in A minor. So we hear that there's like a change in texture, but it doesn't feel completely foreign or surprising, right? Because the tonal center is still A minor in both halves of the progression. And this is how it sounds played back to back. And again, you don't feel a drastic change, but it's a very sophisticated thing. And as I said on the episode where we did Knight Rider, this kind of thing, you will find it very often in movie soundtracks, TV soundtracks, music for shows, for theater, for musicals. because oftentimes the people that are hired to create the music for those kinds of events, shows, films, whatever, they are classically trained and formally trained. They went to college, so they have a very, I would say, advanced and sophisticated handle of music theory, of melody and harmony, and it shows because they make these very, let's say, unusual moves for the layman, someone who's just used to using A minor, for example. This seems very foreign, but it's very sophisticated and very cool. All right, enough of that. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is for today we're gonna do this a little differently. I'm gonna work first on a very short piece that I'm calling the intro, and then another piece which will be our main stack or 8-bar loop that we always use to get us started. And the intro is a very interesting sequence using a flatline bass kind of patch. In this case, I'm using the Prophet 5 by Arturia. And it's this kind of sound. And we're going to play a continuous stream of A notes here. Kind of like this. But here towards the end, there's a nice turnaround. Like this. Nice. It's very synthwavy, and if you listen to it, no wonder some people believe that synthwave is 80s music. Not necessarily, but a lot of synthwave producers took inspiration from a bunch of these sci-fi movies and action movies and TV shows from the 80s. So a lot of these techniques that I'm going to show you today that we're going to use, you may find them very familiar because, yeah, they were used a lot in the 80s. All right, so that's our bass line. And for the intro, we're going to have a very simple kick pattern playing 4 on the floor. And if you listen to the recording, like if you go on YouTube and look up the theme, the kick, at least on the intro, to me sounds very much like a run-of-the-mill Lynn kick. All right, and the rest of the drums that we will use today are Lynn 9000. This is our snare, hat, clap, crash, tom 1, tom 2, tom 3. And all of these samples, the Lynn 9000 samples, are available in the Synthwave Dojo 80s Drum Machine sample pack, which you can get for free at synthwavedojo.com/downloads. All right, so this is our intro. All right, also in the intro of this piece, there's like these belly chimes, and I went hunting into a bunch of preset folders for the DX7. This is DX, a great emulation of the Yamaha DX7 FM synthesizer, and I found this sound. And right there in that octave, it sounds exactly or very close to what I want. So for this pattern, we're going to create a kind of arpeggiated pattern. Okay, something like this in eighth notes, I believe. Let me just set the grid to eighth notes just so it's easier. but something like this. Or like that. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to do, actually. And here we have a turnaround. And what if we did a tiny change here? Nice. So this is kind of an arpeggiated pattern using A as our home bass. You see we're doing here A, C, D, A, C, D. So this is not really, this could be a D minor or an A minor arpeggio with a suspended second on the one part. Then we have G here. So basically I'm just using the notes of the A minor scale. Then once we get into the main theme, remember that there's a couple of chords that aren't from A minor, so I may have to adjust this arpeggio if I want to reuse it during the main theme. But for now, when we're staying in playing A, it sounds just fine. All right. The next thing I want to create is, during the intro, there's also like a strings patch or string section that plays A and some other accent notes. Let's see if we can make that happen. This is a patch that I made using the Arturia Prophet V. I don't know why, but very often when I create a piece, I just like to use the same synth for all of my synth needs. Of course, I couldn't do this for the FM7 sound, but I don't know, I just like once I start using a certain synth, I just like to continue using it throughout the whole piece. There's no real reason for that, and you could make any of these sounds on a Juno, OBX emulation, the Prophet, or Jupiter, or whatever. It's just, I don't know, I just like to stick to the same synth as if we were back in the 80s and synths were limited in terms of no one had 30 synths back then. All right, so this is the strings patch that I made. So it's very simple. It's based on square waves with a little bit of pulse width modulation and chorus. That's our sound. And it's a very simple sound, but it sounds very nice. Only thing, it has a medium attack. Otherwise, it would be too abrupt, like too aggressive. So right there, it doesn't even use any filter movement. The filter is completely open. It sounds very nice. All right, so that's our strings patch. Definitely whatever I come up with, I want to be playing A throughout the pattern. Again, just to re-emphasize the tonal center of the piece. something like that I think will work very well. So instead of playing it, I could just write it in. Okay, that's this long, I think. And I'm just adding C in here. And then adding D. And why not add E towards the end? Yeah, I like that. All right, cool. Now let's give... Let's give these sounds a little bit of love. So, as I usually do, I like to set up one reverb for all my synths, typically. And let's do that right now. I'm going to go with Pulse, which is a very simple plugin that I've been using for the past couple of months by, I always forget, Wave Alchemy, great plugin maker. This is not a sponsored video or anything, I just like their products, that's all. So let's go with a kind of a room, medium size, or kind of large size, and large time, with about 40 milliseconds of pre-delay. Mix 100%. And let's see how it goes. So let's add those chimes. I don't want to wash them in reverb, but I do want them to have like an ambience. Listen to this. Super dry and in your face, right? So that reverb does help a lot. The same for these strings. Let's send them to the shared reverb. Okay, something that I like to do is to clean up my reverb by setting up an EQ right after the reverb. Some reverbs have filters and EQ controls, some others don't. But I just like to use a dedicated plugin for filtering and EQing my reverb returns. There's a whole lot of low end here that I don't want. So somewhere around 250 hertz, 300 hertz, that'll work just fine. The same as the top end. I do want to get rid of a lot of it. Probably there. And while we're at it, same thing for these strings. I want to filter them. Because there's some low end there, low mids that I don't want, and also in the high end there's a lot of fizziness. Listen to how smooth it sounds here, but if I open it up, and all that digital noise fizziness does muddy up, well, not muddy up, but make your mix sound undefined and kind of distorted. Right there, very smooth. Or start. I like it. For example, we could start the track like this. Without the kick. Then we add the kick. And the chimes. Finally, the strings. Like this. And that's our intro. All right. Now the main theme is a little different. But let me copy over some of this stuff. All right. First of all, let's play with these chords. Like I mentioned, our progression today will consist of A minor, C major, D major, and the second half, A minor, F major, and G major. Like so. Very simple, but powerful. And this is a patch that I made, again, on the Prophet 5 by Arturia. This is just a very simple 2-oscillator sawtooth patch with chorus. And I think we're not even using the filter envelope. It's just completely open. Closed it a little bit like that. And that's pretty much it, with a little bit of chorus. Very simple stuff, but it works very well. So let's record the chord progression here. All right, let's do it. Hold on, I should have kept the metronome going. All right, there we go. Beautiful. I don't know why, but must be something with my latency that for whatever reason, even though I have input quantize on, it always works. I don't know why, but it doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. Where was that? Here. I like this note. There. Almost. Great. And here, I don't want to use inversions because I do want to feel that I'm starting on this chord and I'm going up like this. Right? And then I want to feel that I go back to A minor and come from under it, from F up to G, up to A. Like I want that escalator effect during the first half and the second half going into A minor. If I had used the inversions in all of these chords, the progression would have felt flat, like there's not so much movement between the notes. And many times I do prefer that, but in this case, I also want the chords to feel kind of like a riff, right? So they are like an electric guitar and playing power chords. And I do want this aesthetic of using the chords in root position. Great, let's take care of the drums. And for this, it's going to be a very simple, run-of-the-mill rock kind of thing, where we have the kick and the snare. Maybe like that. Yeah, exactly like that. Very simple rock and pop pattern. The snare drum playing the rock and roll backbeat on the 2 and 4, and the kick playing a simple rhythm with a couple of eighth notes interspersed here and there. All right. Now, what about a hi-hat? We could play like a 16th note pattern. Let me set this back to 16th notes. I think something like this can work. All right, but let me just change the velocity of some of these notes randomly so they don't feel so robotic. And I'm not going for a 100% human feel here, but I just want to take a little bit of that drum machine-y robotic sound. Nice. That'll do just fine. Of course, we don't have these notes playing when the snare plays. Great. I should have done this like so. All right. But yeah, just gonna use an open hi-hat there as an accent. That works. These chords are super loud. Better. While we're at it, let me apply a little bit of filtering to this chord pattern with EQ. It also has a lot of low end here that I don't want. That's what the bass is for. And in a track where you have such an active bass like this one, where it's continuously playing rolling 16th or rolling 8th notes, you want to be very careful that other parts in the arrangement are not overlapping the bass. And you can get away with it if the bass plays here and there like a groove that has spaces and rests. But in this case, since it's a never-ending stream of notes in the bass, there's really no room for anything else to have low, mids, and lows. All right, so as I was saying, let me get rid of a bottom end from the chords. And the same thing with just a little bit of the top end. Just to make things smoother. Hear how much low-end rumble this thing has once we activate and deactivate. Listen to this carefully. It has a lot of low-end information that we don't need. Much better. I feel I could still go... Oh yeah, I left it inactive. No wonder. And I want to send just a little bit of this into the reverb. Nice. Cool. And we have a lead. And let's reuse. Not sure if we're going to use it, but in any case, let's see how the guitar chimes part sounds on our main theme. Remember that the main theme has like this modal interchange or this modal shift halfway through the progression. And when I created this pattern, it was mostly based in A minor. So it could be that some of the notes that I created are going to clash, so I may have to adjust them, but we'll see. Not bad. Let me just review this for a second. So here we are in A minor, no clashes, because it's all white notes. Then on this bar, we are doing C major and D major. And in C major, we have a C, D. Yeah, this works well. And in D major, we have D, F sharp, A. So we're not using F, so we're in the clear here. Nice. And let's review the second half. So this bar, the same as the first one, no problems there. What about the second one where we have F and G? We shouldn't have any problems because, like I said, if I created the original pattern based in A minor, and since F major and G major are both chords present in A minor, there shouldn't be any clashes, but we'll just review it for fun. Okay, while we're playing F major, we have A, C, and D. That's fine. And then when we turn back and use F major, G major, we have C, D, E, and G. So yeah, no clashes there. All right, I see here a great question by Cameron. Is there a particular reason to use an effect bus versus just putting the effect on the track? Well, I like to keep things simple, and there's I could talk about this for hours. So there's a couple of technical reasons. For example, if you have a computer that's not too powerful, right? Instead of putting a reverb on every single track, which you will end up, let's say, having 10 reverbs in your track, right? That's gonna put a lot of strain on your CPU. Instead of that, if you use a shared reverb, then you're reducing the load on your computer. So that's a technical reason why it's better to use a reverb in the send or a bus, for example, versus directly in the track. Now, there are aesthetic reasons. For example, my computer is powerful and it can handle it. However, I just like to work like they did in the 80s, where they would use a shared reverb across their entire mix, 2 or 3 reverbs at the most. Having a dedicated reverb on every channel was not the norm. No one had the money for that, and even the big studios, well, they didn't have 25 reverbs available, reverb units for one per track, right? And for me, it helps like give all of my, let's say, my similar instruments or voices a cohesive sound. So if I send all of my synths into the same reverb, they're all going to be placed in the same space, and I like that, right? If I wanted to, I could create different reverbs for different parts or different synths if I was going for that, but I think that 99% of the time, for me, it works just to have a shared reverb for all my synths and a shared reverb for all my drums, because they tend to be different. For my synths, I tend to like long halls and long chambers or long rooms or big rooms. And for my drums, typically it's short plates or short drum rooms or short rooms, etc. So there are different kinds of reverb. And I do like that cohesive approach of using one reverb per instrument group or family. But certainly, if you like how it sounds to have a reverb on its own track, and if your computer can handle it, that's cool, right? And I think it's also more practical. For example, if I'm using a shared reverb for my synths, and I say, you know what, I don't like this reverb, or I'm gonna go with a shorter reverb. If I had used 6 different reverbs on 6 of my synth tracks, I would have to go into every track and change the reverb, the balance, whatever, right? But I can do a change that applies to everything if I use a shared reverb. So I don't know. It's there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just the way that you prefer to work. And at least for me, like I said, unless I have a very specific reason, I like to use a shared reverb approach. Alrighty. Okay, another thing that I want to address here is that our bass is still playing this sequence that is completely rooted in A minor. And that's fine. If you listen to it, it sounds very cool. Right? But maybe if I were to change the bass notes to follow the chords, it could introduce more movement to our piece. So let's do that. Okay, so here we have a change. We're doing C and somewhere D. Bum, bum. Here, I think. And let's do the same thing here, but remember it's F major and G major. And the rhythm is a little different. Nice. Very cool. I like it. Definitely having the bass follow the chords is helping introduce movement into our progression. And if we were to stay like on this, what I call a standby pattern where the where the bass doesn't change, this thing is very useful, like staying in that standby mode for an intro, for a bridge, to set up a change in section within the piece or the outro. But once we're getting into it, I do like to have the change in the bass. All right, and before we tackle the lead, let's give our drums a little bit of love. And just for the sake of doing this, let me show you something. Okay, I'm gonna apply a high-pass filter to my kick at 40 hertz. And then I want to enhance or emphasize not the tonic, I forgot the term. This happens to me very often during these live streams. The fundamental pitch of the kick. And as you see here, like the highest peak, there's a way to have this the visual representation stay, but I forgot what it is. In any case, it's somewhere around here. So I'm just gonna emphasize this with this kind of boost. And here is where you typically find like the beater presence or the beater attack in a kick drum. Like if I didn't want my kick to have the beater, if I were to like it to be more round, then I would cut instead of boosting. But if I want more beater attack, then here, that's where I'd go. Okay, this is a very simple EQ move. And what I will do is, I'll go to the bass, since I'm emphasizing this frequency, this fundamental 90 hertz or 92, I'm gonna cut this from the bass so they fit together better. 92 kilohertz, or hertz actually. Let's come here and I'm gonna apply a high-pass filter at, I would say, a good 70 or 80. There. Then we're gonna go to 90 hertz and do a cut, but with a narrower Q than the default. Yeah, something like that. That'll help the kick punch through the bass without using sidechain compression. Yeah, if you use sidechain compression, then you don't need to do this because the kick and the bass will never play at the same time. That's what the sidechain compression would do, keep the bass away from the kick. But if you're going for a more true 80s kind of sound, or maybe you're not going for an 80s sound, but you just don't like the sound of sidechain compression like I do, I don't like to use it every time, then you have to do this jigsaw complementary EQ moves between the kick and the bass to have them fit together in the same space. All right, and while we're at it, let's add a little bit of compression to the bass, just so it's more stable. This is a very simple compressor. This is an LA2A emulation. You just simply turn this peak reduction knob to the right to get more compression. Then you adjust the gain to where it was. And that's pretty much it. Nice. And very quickly, let's add some compression to our drums, just to have them poke through a little more and to get used to the idea of using compression, which can be very simple. I like to do very simple compression moves, and I do them the same way 99% of the time. So for example, my go-to compression settings for drums, such as kick, snare, toms, not hi-hats and cymbals, I consider those drum metal, right? Not drum shells, which are the kick, snare, and the toms. For those three drum shells, I like an attack of 30 milliseconds, release of 50 milliseconds, ratio 4:1, hard knee, and then simply bring the threshold down until we see 6 dB, no, not 6, that's too much, between 3 to 4, at least for me, 3 to 4 dB of gain reduction, and that's it. Then we'll use the makeup gain to gain back some of the level that we lost. Right there, nothing too fancy and nothing too complicated. Same thing with the snare. Same settings, 30 milliseconds or so. It doesn't matter if it's 31.4 or 29, whatever, it's almost the same thing. 4:1, release 50-ish, doesn't matter. Hard knee, and let's bring this thing down so we get... You hear that compressed sound? That's obviously too much. Like there. Then we use the makeup gain to bring the level back up. Right there, it feels tighter with a little bit more punch and power. All right, the hats, I'm not going to do anything to them or with them. Or yeah, actually I am. A lot of these classic drum machine hats, I really like to filter them out. Filter the bottom by a very large amount. Otherwise, hear how clunky it sounds here. It has like a lot of lows and low mids. You wouldn't think that a hi-hat has a lot of low mids, but it does. If you look here in the spectrometer or display. So right there, maybe. And I could even enhance a little bit of the high end. Not with that, with the high shelf to make them crisper if I want to. nice. And let's apply a little bit of reverb to the snare. In the case of the snare, going back to the reverb question, whether to put it on the track or use a bus or a send, very often I like to put the snare, the reverb directly on my snare, just because it's easier to have it here and play with the mix and dry knob, as opposed to creating a send, then sending from here and tweaking the fader on the snare, reverb, return, etc. It depends on what I'm trying to do, but for the most of the time, I use apply my snare reverb directly on my track. Now that's too long. Maybe like a small room. All right. One of the disadvantages, like I mentioned, of putting the reverb directly in the track is that if I want to EQ this with more control than what this plugin offers, I would be affecting the snare directly, right? Not just the reverb. If I wanted to, for example, set up an EQ here. But for now, I'm just gonna make do with what this offers in terms of EQ. Yeah, like that. I don't want to go crazy with the mix. Sounds cool. All right, I think we're ready to tackle the lead. Awesome. So for the lead, this one. This is a patch I made again on the Prophet 5V, and it's got chorus, it's based on sawtooth waves, and it's got legato and glide. So if I hold two notes at the same time, or a new note, it glides up to it. As well as legato. All right, awesome. Let's see. I definitely want something still rooted in the note A. And obviously it has to follow the chords, otherwise it won't sound good. You know what, let me open this up here so you can see the notes that I'm playing. This is just a A. Let's start with that. What I did there is just play the root notes of the chords. Very simple, and it sounds good. Now, maybe I could try to find something else or enhance what I just did a little bit, not go crazy with it. Let's see. Yeah, I played a couple of notes there from the chords and the scale, and I think that enhanced pattern or line will sound cool. All right. Let's create a clip here. Let's record this thing. Just like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was a mistake. Yeah, sounds good to me. Okay, if we wanted to enhance this lead a little bit, let's apply some EQ just to clean up some of the bottom frequencies and the top, as I always do. Let's send to the reverb a little bit. What about a little bit of delay? Here we go. Right? Let's do a little bit of housekeeping here. And let's also compress the lead. No, not with that. Again, just so it's very present and it doesn't move in terms of level and impact. Cool. Let's do a little bit of some more housekeeping. Let me call this bass. And just as a quick thing, let me bring all these faders down. And just quickly work on the mix. we're gonna need a crash here. Same with the crash as with the hi-hats. I like to really high pass a lot of these cymbals from classic drum machines because they have a lot of gunk and low mids and noise down there. Yeah, that'll work just fine. I could, if I wanted, turn this crash into a stereo sound by using a stereo delay, like a ping pong delay or a regular stereo delay, or apply a Hass effect, which is a very short reverb where you have short delay where you have the dry signal panned all the way to one side and just a single repeat of around 30 milliseconds panned the opposite side. For example, like this, I already have a preset for that. That's called the Hass effect. The poor man's stereo. Sounds great. Let's bring in the chords. The lead. Let's add some EQ to the guitar chimes. Same deal. Something we can do is the chords are very much dead center but stereo. And these chimes are exactly in the same spot as the chords, so what we can do is also use the poor man's stereo to send the guitar chimes to the sides and leave more room in the middle for the lead and the chords. So here we go, the Haas effect. All right, we're in great shape. Let me go back here just to work on the strings for 30 seconds. All right, that'll do it. So just let's play this thing. Let's do a complete playthrough of what we have so far. So this is going to be like our intro or outro section. This will be our main theme. Great. So with that, we're going to take a 2-minute break. And when we come back, I'm going to turn this material that we created into a very quick and dirty arrangement Initially, my blueprint is going to be 40 bars, but I think because of the tempo, this is a very fast tempo. Most likely, all these sections will have to be doubled, but we'll tackle that when we come back. So don't go anywhere, and I'll be back in 2 minutes. Awesome. Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. I think we're in great shape. We're making great progress. Thank you very much, guys, for showing up. I see Pete, Bruno, Spectral Strata, Murphy's Law, Hamson Paul, Cameron, Jax, Panagiotis. Hello, guys. All right, let's keep trucking. So, during this section, we're gonna turn this music that we created into a quick and dirty arrangement. Like I said, I like to come in with a plan and change the plan as I go along and as I see fit. Initially, I like to do these live streams and create a structure comprised of 5 sections of 5 bars each, 5 times 8 bars, 40 bars. But in this case, since our tempo is so fast, I think we're going to have to duplicate or increase the length of each of these sections, but that's fine. So for now, let me just copy over this main theme section. I'm going to plunk it down right here. You know what? I feel like 8 bars is okay for the chorus. We'll see. I definitely feel that 8 bars is going to be too short for our intro. So just to keep things moving and very simple, okay, let me duplicate the chorus into the bridge. And I know that I don't want the lead playing on the bridge. And possibly we could get rid of the chords just to give us a little bit of a breather there. All right. Here in the bridge, we could introduce a new sound, like create a new synth, or reuse one of the synths that we already have. For example, this chords synth. I'll figure that out later. For now, I'm gonna leave it like that, and I think I want to have the bass and the drums going. Okay, then the verse for sure. Let me copy this over to the verse. And of course, I don't want the lead. And I don't want to give away everything I have right from the start. I want to hold something back. The 2 halves approach that I always use, which is present something during the first half, and on the second half of that same section, introduce something or remove something, introduce some kind of change so the listener keeps on listening with interest. Let's see, in this case, what would be a good candidate for not playing the first half? Possibly the chords? Okay. What we could do is, let me think about this for a second, is use a low-pass filter and have the chords be closed during the start of the verse and then open the filter up as we roll along. I think that could work. Let's take care of that right now. So here's my filter cutoff control. Let's create an automation lane. And let's see. Okay, it's actually here where I wanted that to be. And maybe I don't want the filter to open up to where I have it in the chorus. So I still want it to sound just a little bit filtered, so not get all the way to the top. And I'm not sure, but let me mute the chords here at the beginning of the chorus. All right, and what we could do, well, I'll leave that for later. But I think I like the verse. All right, but I don't want these guitar chimes to play all the way through the track. So I also want to pick and choose where to have them. So we said that they were going to be during the intro. So a good candidate for muting them is here during the verse, but maybe then the verse will feel too naked. We'll see. And these are the kinds of arrangement decisions and choices that can make a difference in a track, that's boring, and in a track that's engaging. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but certainly you have to figure out a way to always keep the listener interested by adding something, taking something away, changing something up, right? So ultimately, once you look at your arrangement from a 30,000-foot view, it's got to look like a checkered flag. Like, you don't want too many instruments playing from top to bottom without change, right? Things have to come in, they have to go out. Maybe something's played during the first section of a verse, but it's not played on the second. Like, always be messing around with the listener's expectations in a way that makes sense, right? It's not like I'm just randomly muting stuff here and there. I'm trying to say or to express and explain how I would approach this and how I would think of it, and consider that every decision that we make has an impact. Like, for example, I took away the guitar chimes from the verse, and now it feels more naked, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because now it gives room for the chords to come in, right? So you're always dealing with the consequences of your action. It's like playing whack-a-mole. You whack the mole and something else happens, whether that's good or bad, it doesn't matter, you have to handle it somehow. Okay, in any case, I think I like the verse. Certainly, we could use like an attention reboot here and there, like a little bit of an accent. So maybe what we can do is, instead of playing the full guitar chimes pattern, maybe we can play a few notes here and there just to spice things up. And what we're going to play and where, I'm not sure. Let's figure it out together. I like what I did there. It's just basically playing with the notes in the scale, and I was doing a very simple D, C, and A, which is part of the original chimes pattern. And then next time around, I do the opposite, which is instead of going down, I go up like this. Simple stuff like that works very well. Here. Where was I? Okay, there. Awesome. Well, that wasn't too bad. Yep. Ba-ba-bum. Yep. Let's duplicate this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully it works. No, it didn't. There we go. Right. Maybe introduce here a little bit of tension. Sounds good. And I don't want to turn this into like a formal lead or anything. It's just something to reboot the listener's attention, a little bit of ear candy to help the listener stay engaged and interested throughout the verse. Even though we have something interesting going on here, which is these chords that are opening up, I still feel like these chimes are a very nice touch. And like I see Space Mace mentioning, you hear a short arp solo after the chorus, then hitting the verse hard. Yeah, certainly. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that here, but yeah, all those ideas are great to try out for sure. And what you said, it makes total sense to me. Definitely that would be a great approach. All right, so let's listen to her verse. All right, let's listen to how it sounds going from the verse to the chorus. Okay, I want to capture here a few of the ideas that are coming at me. Tasks or ideas, whatever. Certainly, I want drum fills on every section change. Make sure that there's a crash on the downbeat of each section. Okay, and let me take care of that, which is the first easy thing to do. Okay, there's the crashes. All right. Let me get rid of this to do. Now the drum fills, I'll tackle them later. I have other bigger fish to fry right now. Let's just listen, going from the verse to the chorus. What if we muted the chimes at the start of the chorus? Doesn't feel bad. You see, I tried here a different idea, kind of the opposite of what we started out with. Remember, we had these chords muted for the first half of the chorus, and the chimes were coming in from the start. But now, as I was listening to this, I don't know, I tried it, and it feels better to me to have the chords keep going and start from the bottom of the chorus, at the top of the chorus, but instead mute the guitar chimes and have them come in at the second half. Nice. No right or wrong way to do this. It's just a preference and a way to solve the puzzle that works for you and that you enjoy and that you like. All right. One more time. It is sounding good to me. In terms of arrangement, we have the intro, we have the verse, chorus, bridge, and the outro. And I feel like the verse and the chorus, to me, are done, except for the drum fills. At this point, I think there's nothing else that I would like to do there. Not sure if I want to extend the chorus a good 4 bars more, but I think the verse, I'm going to call it done. And just for the sake of trying this out, okay, let me extend this, drag this over to here, and see how it feels just to extend this a few bars more. I feel like if I were to extend the chorus section here, like my ears are telling me that I need to create a new sound just to, again, keep the listener interested. But for now, I don't want to create a new sound here. I'm going to keep going and leave things how they were. And I'm going to call the chorus done. Let's work on the intro, then the outro, and finally the bridge. I certainly feel that the intro I have to make longer, without a doubt. Let me slide this over here. At least a good 16 bars, maybe more. And for here, I want to reuse the intro bass. And we have the kick. This could come in maybe here. Okay, the guitar chimes, I hear them coming in. Oops, not sure where. Maybe here? I made a mistake somewhere. this 8 bars? 16. Okay, yeah. Okay, how about that? But make it shorter. Definitely I hear a big tom fill there. Overall, I think I like the intro. I like it. Maybe we could automate the bass a little bit to have some movement in the filter, or maybe the decay. I think the movement in the filter is the best idea. And let's see, I'm not sure what I want to do here, but let me try something out. Okay, just trying to find something that sounds interesting, has a little bit of movement, but it's not too wacky, like wobbly or all over the place. Subtle, something subtle. I think that'll work. Yeah, I like it. like it. I think it sounds very cool. Let's work on a tom fill here. All right. Yeah, I like it. Nice. Let me just add a group here so I can control the level of the toms for this from a single fader. For the toms, they, at least in my template, they are already panned. Not hard left and right, but like, what, 60% to the left, the second tom in the middle, and the third tom, the mirror opposite of the first one, like 62% to the right. Cool. Now they sound too dry. For sure I want a bit of reverb. And let's do something, possibly this one. Let me set it to 100% since it's on a return aux channel, whatever. And let's see where we are. I'm gonna send all these guys into my room verb. Let me call this Tom's verb. Let's listen in context. I think I wish for the reverb to be louder, but the toms to be lower. I think that's fine. Yeah, I like it like that. That'll work. We'll just keep going. Okay, so that's our intro. Let's listen to this once more. All right, toms are just a little too loud. All right. We'll definitely need a tom fill here. And here. And here. Okay, but we're in pretty good shape. For the bridge, let's see what we can do here. What if we fired up a phaser just for the bridge? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not liking that too much. What about a flanger? Or maybe we need to change the chimes pattern. I don't know. We'll see. Not too sure. Okay, it's not bad, but it's not really super interesting. Let's see what we can do. not bad. I think for the sake of this exercise, I may just run with it. Or let's see. Let me mute this for a second. Well, I think something like that could work here, and may be more interesting than the guitar chimes, or I could play them both together. Let's see. So I'm gonna reuse the chord sound, like I said in the beginning. I prefer to reuse stuff and not necessarily just create another synth. What if we did... Is that 16th? No, it's 8th notes. Alright, but... something like that, I think, could work. Yeah, I think I like it. Let's see. And let's duplicate this thing and introduce a little bit of variation or change somewhere down the line. Just send these notes an octave higher. That's all I did, and I think it'll work. Yeah, I like it. Let's see if we like it with the chimes on top. Maybe not at the beginning. Let me get rid of the flanger. I think the chimes are clashing with this new pattern because the chimes are also very busy playing some stuff there. I think it's best to have something that sustains, so maybe I could reuse a couple of notes from the lead. Something like that, very simple, just for the end, like to announce that this section is going somewhere. I think I like that. Sounds good. I think I like D better. Yeah. I like this idea. Cool. Let's run with it. All right, so this is our bridge. All right, I like it. Now, let's do something for the outro. Kind of like the intro, but in reverse. Let's use the... Let me color all of these intro bass patterns differently, just so I don't get them mixed up. Same thing with this one. Okay, on the intro, we had the chimes and the strings. And this is different too. Okay, let's see how they sound playing from the top. Wrong lane. I think I like the outro like that. Let's hear from the end of the bridge. I like it. Something very simple like that. That'll work. All right. But what happened to the filter? Oh, no, the filter wasn't on the intro. It was on the... Oh, yeah, it was. Hold on. Oh, that's fine. I can write something like this very easily and quickly, maybe. Yeah, why not? I think it'll work. That's cool. I like it. All right, that's the outro. We got the verse, the bridge. I think we have everything. Oh, except the tom fills. All right, let's create some tom fills very quickly. Let's give this one its own color. Nice. And or instead, we'll do a snare roll. Let's do create a tom fill here. All right, I think that will work. What I can do is reuse this over here. And there's a snare roll here. I don't need a fill. Same thing here. There's that fill here, there. I think we're in good shape. Let me just get rid of these tracks that I'm not using. All right, so all in all, I think we are in pretty good shape. I'm gonna call this done. Done. And the drum fills are taken care of. Let's just do some final tweaks, see how this feels. For example, here, I feel that the lead is too loud. I want it to be an accent, not overpower the arpeggio, whatever was going on there. So I want to bring it down. I don't know, at least a good 2 dB. Better. Yeah, that's in pretty good shape. Let's review the verse real quickly. For example, these chimes, it's like I want to hear them better during the verse. Just a little bit, maybe. So let's automate. Here, we'll bring them up maybe 2 dB. Yeah. Good. And finally, let's listen to the intro one more time. All right, sounds good to me. Good enough for now. Let me just do a little bit of showing my buses a little bit of love here. Tender love and care. Okay, my drums bus, I'm gonna activate. Some tape. A little bit of drive. The bus compressor. Just a little bit of glue and saturation, compression tape to that drum bus. And let's do the same with the synth bus. A little bit of tape. drive. Bus compression. And finally, a little bit of that on our main fader, master bus. Tape. And bus compression. All right, with that out of the way, let's play this thing from top to bottom. One time with feeling. And before we do that, let me see if there are any other questions here. I see none. All right, so basically, at least for this production, we took these very few elements, as I always recommend. Start with a main stack that has no more than 4 or 5 elements. Don't create 10 or 12 at the beginning. Let yourself give yourself some room to discover the stuff that you need along the way, and reuse as many parts and as many instruments as you can. It's always I don't know. I like to work that way, and I recommend it. Then you saw that in terms of the mix, I applied some very basic processing, EQ, compression here and there, almost everything. All of my synths have a little bit of reverb to varying degrees. The drums, I think only the snare had reverb. The kick and the hi-hat I left very dry on purpose. The bass has some EQ and compression. And overall, you saw that I made some very small tweaks here and there in terms of levels in the various sections. I like to think of each section as a scene in a movie. It doesn't matter what came before or after. Well, it does matter, but every scene, you have to light it a certain way. You have to put the characters, the actors in a certain way, present them with a certain light and mood for each scene to stand on its own and to have impact. And that's the way that I like to think of each section. Like I go section by section, and even though, let's say, the level of something was good, for example, here in the chorus, the level of the chimes was okay, during the verse, where it's more sparse, the volume or the level was too low. So for this scene, for the verse, I had to bring it up with a little bit of automation. And I did that same thing here with this other piece here with the lead at the end of the bridge. And then I introduced a little bit of movement in the filter for the bass during the intro, because I felt that we needed a little bit more of interest, right? But once we get going, we don't need that movement in the bass filter, because its role is to support the foundation for the track. So it's like always thinking here and there, how can I make this section better? How can I make it more interesting? And more often, it's just tiny tweaks and tiny ideas that can make it get there. And all of these details are what, at the end of a production, take a lot of time, right? Like the ballpark, 80 for the 20, the big rocks, that's very fast, but it's those tiny details that take a long while, like making sure that the curve for whatever filter automation you're doing sounds good, right? Tweaking the curves to your liking can take a while. In any case, very simple stuff that I showed here. I'm not using any multi-band saturation and triple layer bass or whatever. That all that stuff, that's okay, but keep things very simple, especially when you're a beginner. and learn and develop your skills to where you can create stuff like this in a time frame of 2 hours that sounds simple but sounds good, tasteful. Certainly it has a vibe and character, and especially where you can take inspiration from a producer, an artist, a genre, in this case the theme of an 80s TV show, and pick and choose which things you want to apply to your music and make it your own, right? So this is not a straight remake from the Blue Thunder theme, but I just applied a few things that I liked and put a lot of my character and my own style into it. Awesome. So without further ado, let's listen to this thing top to bottom, and then we'll get out of here, guys. All right, here we go. Very cool, my friends. You saw there right at the end, I was still making a little bit of some tweaks here and there. Hold on, where am I? There I am. Yeah, and again, those tiny details count, and they take a while to get right. In any case, I hope that you enjoyed this. I got a kick, a blast, and I really learned a lot by researching this TV theme and then trying to make it my own. I think I learned more than you guys, so I really recommend you do certain or similar exercises to this. It's all great. Keep synthwaving, my friends, and as always, you know where to find me. If you have any questions, leave them to me in the comments, and if nothing else, have a great rest of your day, and see you soon. Keep synthwaving.